This is a very, very exciting episode. I mean, we are here with Sean Walsh. Not only one of my best friends in the gosh darn world, also my roommate, my accomplice, and kind of spiritual embodied brother. And it's finally time to learn what in the heck is going on inside this kooky man's mind. How he got to where he is today and where he's going. Sean.
Seth.
This is an honor. Mm-hmm. This is an honor. I can't believe that. I mean, we've been living together for over a year now, and we kind of had this idea, I don't know, maybe like 6 months ago. We just knew that this was on our horizons. Sean, why is self-love important to you?
Well, Seth, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I think that this goes back a lot further than 6 months, because I think that we had actually not really discussed, but I think you had mentioned to me long before we lived together that if I ever wanted to be on the podcast, then we could do that. And so I was thinking just yesterday, we've been watching a lot of like Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar. If anybody knows who that is, check him out if you don't. They're like motivational speaker types, and Tony Robbins considers himself a strategist, not a motivational speaker. But one thing that a lot of guys like that have in common is that when they go to like interview somebody, they say that they like to do a lot of research beforehand. What's the Vancouver radio DJ that you just showed me?
Oh my gosh, Nardwuar.
Nardwuar. Okay, I can't believe I didn't know who Nardwuar was. But he just prepares like so much for an interview. So I was thinking like, Seth, you've blown them all out of the water, because we talked about doing the podcast, and not only did you do your research. I mean, you asked me to move in with you. I feel like it was you were trying to do like you really, really get all the background to prepare you. But I think 6 months ago we came up with the idea to actually make this the first Love Ams podcast that was filmed. And Sarah Connor, I think, kind of beat me to the punch. But that was a Zoom call. That was a recorded Zoom call. This is like we're actually recording this.
There's a tripod involved.
Yeah, there's a tripod involved.
Multiple audio recording going on.
Exactly. So, so thank you for having me. That's number one. Why is self-love important to me? I know that's the question of what the whole point of these podcasts that you put on, Seth, is, and it's not that I have a really cohesive answer, but I will say that what it really comes down to me is as far as it being important is, I think it's a survival thing. I really do. I don't think that we can make it through this life without having a healthy relationship with self-love, and if we do, then it's not really a life worth living from my perspective. So yeah, that's where I would begin with that. I really feel like it's a kind of a survival tactic, survival work, instinct, or just a must-do for most people.
Mm-hmm. And it's almost maybe to those out there that might say they don't love themselves or are not capable of loving themselves. Maybe that's something to point out, is to say you've made it this far. That is an element. That is a amount of self-love.
I do think that, definitely, because, and I think that goes right hand in hand with what I'm saying. Like, if you're making it through this world and living right now today, part of why you're able to do that is because you love yourself on some level. And I mean, honestly, I think maybe there's some extreme cases where, people are living some crazy lives out there in this world. With I don't necessarily want to go into examples just because it's kind of dark. But I don't know. I mean, maybe, but like, I don't know, people that are in guerrilla armies or something like that, where they're going and like raping and pillaging, burning villages and stuff like that for, because they serve some warlord or something like that. I mean, like they're living a way that maybe is not required for self-love they've switched to something crazy. And, but that's an extremely small amount of people. That's like the anomaly or whatever. So,
the outlier.
Yeah, I think that, the vast majority of people in this world, if you're here walking through this life today, then you are operating with self-love, even if it's subconscious and you don't really realize it. I think it can, and then, so like what's great where like folks like you come in is raising the awareness of that, and so it comes out of the subconscious, and then there still can be great stuff going on in the subconscious, but then when you're using your higher conscious, you are able to maximize that and just capitalize on opportunities from that to help yourself grow more and just kick more butt.
Exactly. So part of living in a life of self-love, in a life where there is less about the idea of survival and more about exploration, requires awareness. You've become very aware that deep down it's a survival technique, and you have been able to turn the survival or life into something absolutely hilarious and playful. And why do you do that? For those that don't know, Sean Walsh makes one of the funniest effing videos and creates incredible characters and just improvises like no other. And I believe it's just a high level of awareness of what's going on. And how are you able to transition from the awareness of what is happening into an opportunity to bring joy and playfulness to it?
Yeah. That's basically that's the question of my life, Seth. It's that's where my motivation lies, because there's an awareness that I have for the way things are, the way things operate, the what makes people tick, what sways people's opinions and where their hearts and minds are at. And I can see we can all see through people's bullshit, but we don't all step up to acknowledging it. And so the way that I see to do that is like through satire, through spoof, through parody, because it's a very playful way to do it, and it's actually, in my opinion, also the most effective way. I studied literature in college, and what really drives society forward, in my opinion, is satire, because it spoofs the people that are controlling the narrative of society. And if somebody just says, no, this is bad, we shouldn't be doing this, we shouldn't be doing that, people are just going to go, oh, blah, 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 it's the people in charge and they're doing it. But it's when you're able to make a satire of that or spoof it, and that everybody knows that what that person's doing is bullshit, then even the person themselves knows they're caught, So it's kind of like that. And so that's kind of my thing, but I haven't completely figured that out yet. I'm not, that's not what I'm doing in my life, like every single day. I'm trying to make it every single day. That's what I'm working on right now, is to kind of do this stuff every single day. And it's not always that I'm like, oh, we gotta, keep the wheels of society moving forward and all this. I mean, a lot of it's just playful and just exploring. But yeah, so the awareness from that, yeah, and it all kind of goes together with that. Let's see, where was your question?
It's kind of you were touching upon the depth and kind of where it stems from in terms of how to navigate through this world in that way. I almost see a kind of crossover with adaptability. Like through playfulness, you are able to adapt.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. What more would you say on that?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just a very effective tool for adapting. Is the playfulness, the goofiness, the kookiness, and it's just it kind of goes along with I mean, in my opinion, for society moving forward, satire is so much larger than what people realize. And I also think that for people enjoying their lives and getting to the next step in their lives is not taking themselves so seriously, being willing to be goofy. And everybody's capable of it. A lot of people do it. Most people, though, don't do it probably to the level that they could be to really help themselves get to headed towards where they want to be, Mm-hmm. And, self-love kind of goes along with that, in my opinion, goofiness, silliness. That's really wrapped up with self-love. It's not the only aspect of it. There's self-love that can be expressed through solace, and quieting one's mind and doing self-meditation and things like that. And that's all great too. But yeah, for me, definitely the aspects that are more emphasized are the goofiness, playfulness, silliness.
Yeah. Now, when I was in more of the improv world, in terms of I was taking classes, I was doing a lot of the jams and trying to find maybe small performances to be in with other people. I was also kind of exploring the stand-up scene at the same time. I had friends that were doing both. And something that I distinctly noticed that was going on between these two, they're in the same community and different sub-communities at the same time, is I enjoyed and still enjoy the improv world much more, because what I've noticed is those that are in the improv world, of course, there's still people that are having a hard time with self-love, though they seem to have something where they are more loving towards themselves and the entire group, versus in the stand-up world, there's a lot of self-criticism, self-hatred, and almost isolation. Why do you think that is?
Well, firstly, I agree that what you're noticing there is absolutely true. Yeah, the thing is, for many really brilliant stand-ups, that just goes along with it. Like Lenny Bruce, Robin Williams, George Carlin. Although I don't think George Carlin really hated himself, but he was that generation. I mean, that's when they were really they kind of invented that then. But they were also really brilliant minds and super funny and shaped a whole generation of the way people do comedy. But at the same time, I feel that the stuff that was really effective for shaping the kind of way entertainment went for those decades was when they weren't doing people won't put up with that kind of thing for very long. Nobody wants to go, to fall in love with a comedian, if they're doing too much of that. It's just not gonna last. But there's something to it that creates this kind of, it's almost like do or die, like for Robin Williams, for instance. It's for him, the thing that kept him alive for as long as it did was, this kind of chasing perfection and excellence in what he did, which was comedy. Improv, you don't have that. So improv is not about like perfection and being, polished and stuff like that. But for the stand-up comedians, they're looking for perfection. They're looking for something polished. And you might not notice that every time you go see a stand-up's act, but that is, they're saying those jokes. It's comedic timing. They're practicing this in the mirror and stuff. They want it to be exactly what they want it to be. And improv is kind of the opposite of that. So that could have something to do with it. That perfection breeds, it kind of goes along with the self-loathing type of stuff. Yeah. What do you think?
Where perfectionism increases the inner critic's voice potentially. And if someone or I am not aware that the inner critic is activated when it's happening, or I am desensitized to it happening, then it's probably going to just keep beating me down until I'm in some really dark places without knowing it, or not telling other people that I am in that place.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for the stand-ups too, a lot of their heroes were like that, and they just, there's something that breed, it's kind of like that. But then you have people like Jerry Seinfeld, who was never like that.
Right.
All his comedy is, super goofy and super silly, and, he never had drug problems or, anything like that.
I think he said one time that, he's like, well, you see, with me making jokes, it was never about, like, I didn't care if, like, necessarily if people liked me or, like, just, like, do they like the joke? And I was pretty blown away that I don't know who his mentors were. I don't know, maybe besides, from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Larry
David, of course. But I like who kind of got that mindset. Like, I'm not sure where he got that mindset. So that'd be interesting to look at.
Well, yeah, it's a good question because, and I never heard that. I know a lot about Jerry Seinfeld, but so thank you. Add that into the into the dossier. Yeah, that's really cool. It's something that I think that probably a lot of us could learn from. It's like, we want people to like the work that we're doing. It's not so much about like us. That's kind of ego. That's where the ego kind of is there. And of course, obviously everyone knows ego is important to have, and you need to have that just to wake up and eat some cereal in the morning. If you don't have any ego, you're not even going to do that. So the balance there, but yeah, I love that Jerry said that. And maybe that's where some of those other comics, maybe they wanted the adulation, more than they wanted people to actually like the content. I don't know.
Interesting. So, for those that don't know, Sean is one of the most like steady, level-headed people that I know, and I want to know, like, how did you develop that level-headedness? How did you develop the way to just kind of like, it's like not even that you're coasting, you're just actively centered.
Right on. Well, let me ask you a question.
Please.
Why do you think it is that you have noticed that about me?
Ooh. I would say I know that in my past I have lived with people that can have pretty like up and down days, and I also have worked in plenty, specifically, I guess, my two last startups had higher ups specifically, I guess, that their moods would change on a dime and are just in very like ridiculous, like unacceptable ways. So it could be that you are just like an example of whoa, this is what this level-headedness is like.
So what Seth is trying to say here, folks, is people are crazy. Everyone is effing crazy AF. That's what it comes down to. So, have I recognized this throughout my life? Taken notice? Yes. Do I, I'm surrounded by these people. And to get through it, my coping mechanism is to try and be as level-headed as I can. It's, I love these people. They're doing their thing. I don't, how they're making it through life and making it to the world is kind of a mystery to me. It really kind of boggles the mind. If I was living the way that they live, I don't know if I could do it. That being said, there's a little bit of that in all of us. And so I'm kind of trying to control that chaos and kind of send it in a way that I can channel it to work for me. And yeah, so that's kind of why I do some of the kooky stuff I do, I think. And it's all in kind of a more controlled manner. It's like when I want to turn it on, when I want to turn the crazy on,
right,
I can turn it on. Mm-hmm. And that probably allows me to, that kind of approach, I think, that creates balance for me.
It sounds almost like you are doing mindful processing of what's going on around you when you turn that on. Because you are aware that you can turn it on, that you know that there are things that you have seen or that have happened around you that might use some processing through satire, comedy, playfulness.
Right. And I mean, there is, I mean, there's a lot of, there's things, the way that people are can be very depressing or could really take the wind out of you if you don't have a set of tools that you are, constantly developing, constantly growing to like I mentioned, kind of coping with that. It's almost a coping mechanism. Because there's it seems like, where's the hope for these people if they're this crazy? And I mean, the thing is there is, because they're doing it, they're doing their thing, and but it's just like when you're watching that from 10 feet out of the bubble, it just seems completely wild that so many people in our lives, that they're still on the tracks, Mm-hmm. So yeah, to kind of deal with that, then it does help to have, for me, it could be any number of mechanisms or tools, but yeah, for me, there's definitely okay, well, I can't explain this logically, like how this person is or how these two people interacted. Sometimes it's not just even people I know, it's people in the media or social media or whatever, trying to figure out what makes these people tick. How are they able to operate like this? Why aren't people seeing how crazy this situation is? Why aren't people seeing that this is total BS? And then the coping with that is to say, it won't be sustainable for me to just call this behavior out or, say this is messed up. Why are these people acting this way? This isn't logical. This is not reasonable. I won't sustainably be able to just do that, because then you have scores of people that they just won't get it that way, mm-hmm. if you just call it out the way it is. So, mm-hmm. But yeah, so satire, parody, that type of stuff, you can't argue with that because it's not funny if it's not true.
Mm. Yes.
So, right. Yeah. So that's my, we kind of started this is that is what drives me in my life and really where I'm trying to get, and I've known for some time now that's really where I want to be headed more. But yeah, that's what drives me, because I know that's what works. That's what helps me deal with the crazy. That's what helps me deal with the unreasonable, the illogical, all that stuff that could become really depressing and really get me down if I didn't have some kind of answer to that. And so, yeah, that type of stuff that's my answer. And you better watch out, because I'm coming for you.
He'll get you. That's Sean P. Walsh.
Yeah. So if that's I guess my message to the folks out there that are doing the illogical, the unreasonable, the stuff that isn't beneficial or is some way taking away from other people's ability to live their best lives. If that's if you're doing that, you better watch out.
I love it. And so this is it's interesting, Sean, because you have many different alter egos that you've been developing, and almost at this point right now developing daily. You've also mentioned that you on stage is the most you that you currently know.
Right. I think I'm more likely to say how I truly feel or express how I truly feel, even if that's playing electric guitar, with the band, like that's coming out, like that expression is more likely to come out in that kind of scenario than it is with me just having a conversation with somebody or, that type of thing. And why that is, I don't know. Some people are stage fright. They don't like being on stage. They don't like performing. They're not going to be their true self. They're better just, in a one-on-one conversation with people. But yeah, I like it because it's just, it's fun, I like it. I like the fun aspect of it. It's like a huge part of how I roll. It's just like always looking for the fun, always looking for the goofiness and the playfulness. And on stage, that's kind of expected. And so it's really you're able to step into that knowing like, hey, this is what people are here for, So yeah.
And how would that come out, say for instance, with Party with Strangers?
With Party with Strangers, so, Party with Strangers is a musical experiment with my friend Cameron. But I don't know, maybe I'm confused on when you say Party with Strangers, like...
There was kind of or was there a different group that had the hip-hop element?
Okay. Well, yeah, that one had a hip-hop element. It wasn't the first group that I had that had a hip-hop element. That actually started when I was in high school. The group was called Underachievers, and our whole thing was that, like, we were it was like self-deprecating humor, kind of like in hip-hop. But yeah, that was like kind of one of my first opportunities to really be on stage, certainly in a musical fashion, was with this kind of satirical, self-deprecating hip-hop duo that I had with my friend Cameron. And yeah, I mean, that was kind of when I knew, like, oh, hey, like, the stage and I, we got a good thing going here.
And how would that help you process things at that time?
Ooh, that's an interesting question, yeah. I think it kind of, it helps me process, like, what's important to me. When you are on stage, you have to be honest to be effective at what you're doing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Let's repeat that. On stage...
You have to be honest to be effective at what you're presenting. There's smoke and mirrors in video, film, stuff like that. On stage, you can have literally smoke and mirrors, I suppose. You can have that kind of stuff, like you can have the distractions and stuff like that. But anything in person like that's a performance, I mean, people are going to see, what you're really all about. And so it helps me with that process because you have to understand what you are all about. because you're going to give that as a presentation to other people. So you need to know, you need to be like in touch with that. So I think that's why that's an effective medium for me.
And when you combine music and satire, why is that to you? Is that more of a pinnacle comedic experience for you, or just another way of doing the comedic kind of satirical experience?
Yeah, for me, I would say it's just another way.
Okay.
I do definitely, like, I mean, I love Weird Al Yankovic and, you know, people that do that. I mean, that's a super, super good example of what I'm talking about. Like, when Weird Al makes a parody of somebody, then, like, that genre has to move on to the next step, whether it's, you know, like the stuff in the 80s, but the Nirvana song, I think, was a good example of that. Smells like Nirvana, he said, and, you know, like, you couldn't understand the words he was saying. Like, now anybody that does a grunge song like that, it's gonna seem, you know, like outdated or whatever. It's gonna seem like, oh, we're moving on to something else here. Or he did Amish Paradise, a parody of Gangsta's Paradise, you know, and then, like, gangster rap kind of had to kind of move on to something else from that. So, yeah, I mean, combining it with music is great. I don't know if, I mean, it's also tough. I would say it's really tough. Like, I have a lot of respect for, like, Flight of the Conchords. You know, they really do, like, the satirical kind of goofy songs, like, really, really good. But to do that, really, I mean, that's a lot of work and a lot of, like, inspiration, and you really have to be, like, I mean, you kind of have to let the muse or the genie out of the wall, you know, to inspire you. I think for me, that's, like, just saying, like, oh, I want to do this, like, I'm going to sit down and, like, write these, you know, parody satirical songs. Like, I don't know, for me, I can't do that. It has to come as a stroke of inspiration.
And quickly, I was just talking to Becca about this 2 days ago, of, for some reason, at least for me, that a lot of comedic, like, musical experiences, like Flight of the Conchords, they don't hit me as much. I like appreciate the hell out of it. I think it's really, like, it's ingenious. It's super intelligent. I think, like, on paper, yes, this is funny, and in the moment, it doesn't hit me. Why do you think that is?
Well, for the example, maybe of Flight of the Conchords, I mean, you know, that's been around for a while. I mean, maybe that the magic kind of wore off for you for that. Also, there's kind of been some oversaturation. I mean, on the internet, on YouTube, you know, there's millions now of videos that are extremely funny, like they are maybe satire parody. And it's almost like, yeah, but now there's a million Weird Al Yankovic's out there. So perhaps the magic of that has worn off a little bit for you. And yeah, I mean, nowadays it has to be something really special for it to really grab you, I feel like.
Maybe. I'm going to keep searching for that one.
So have you never experienced, like, have you never, like, really gotten into that kind of thing, got excited about it? Like,
it's like Weird Al stuff, like, that's great. Like, I remember being a kid, enjoying it, eat it, great. Love Michael Jackson, awesome. Something about really witty lines going, like, really fast and being delivered quickly. Maybe Garfunkel and Oates. I think I also gave that a shot as well. I think they're great. And for some reason, it's like the timing. I'm, like, being delivered these lines. I'm not given a time to laugh almost. Like, of course, they do have some, like, zingers at the end where they're like, dun 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 dun, and, like, they give you time to laugh. But there's something to that.
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying, and I agree. I mean, that kind of thing does not always work. It's like, and then, you know, like, this, like, the critic, that's, like, the critic in us coming out, and, like, it's almost like, well, you know, maybe just don't overanalyze too much stuff. Some stuff you just like, some stuff you just don't.
Right.
I mean,
exactly. Yeah. It's just. I guess it's surprising to me that I'm just very open to it, and I go, okay,
right.
all right.
Yeah. Not everything has to be gold,
Mm-hmm.
But it is an interesting question that you're posing there, and I think that it's, I think you probably. There's probably a lot of things out there like that you have really enjoyed. I mean, you just didn't associate necessarily with the Garfunkel and Oates and the Flight Like Concords thing, but it's actually more similar to those things than you're maybe giving it credit.
It's true. And another example, Beck and I rewatched I'm a kitty cat, and I dance, and I dance. That, I'm laughing. I'm having a great time. And though that does include some silly cutout cartoon Photoshop kind of animation style graphics.
And you like that kind of stuff.
And I do like that. So that is a little different.
Yeah, see, and so I don't really care as much about the cutout graphics. So for me, that one might be the song better be really good because the graphics aren't doing much for me. But for you, it's the song doesn't need to be as good because the graphics are good for you. So there's a lot of personal preference.
I see. I guess allowing my own personal preference to be okay, accepting that.
Love that. That's where we were going. That's where we were ending up there. So we got it. We got there. Yeah, and that's huge because we're everybody's a critic, nowadays. And thankfully, I think we're kind of moving beyond that, where everyone's a critic and stuff, and you don't need to overanalyze why does this song work? Why does this song get millions of views and this other stuff doesn't It's just hey, some people like it, some people don't. It works for some people. For others, it's stupid. And it's all good. Now, okay, Sean, kind of going back to the alter ego and your full self coming out on stage. There was there's been a few times, but one time also stands out for me with our experience together of seeing the true you, Sean P. Walsh, on, in person. And that was the first time that you did MDMA. Okay, we're going there, Seth. We're going there. So I know from listening to some of your previous podcasts, that you ask folks about this. So, yeah, what you got? So, when we were on MDMA together, what was the question that you asked me? The most important question. The most important question, because we've been living together for a few months by this point. I had never experienced this chemical compound. Mostly because it just had a lot of reasons to not be interested in it, I guess. But then from talking to you and feeling more kind of safe, I guess, with it, and understanding that this I am okay with with experiencing this and trying this. So we knew that at some point we're gonna have a conversation, what it's gonna be have a deep dive or whatever it might be, and. So the first question, we're at a concert, awesome concert, Laserface with Gareth Emery. Good memory. Adam Balks, Going Away. There was 20, 25 of us, 30 of us or so. This huge crew at the WAMU. Yeah, and a lot of people a lot of Seth's friends that I had not met before. Mm-hmm. And then some that I had, like Nelson, Adam Balk. Shout out. And a few more people. So, So we knew we were going to have have some conversation, what's going to be the first, thing that we're going to talk about. So, I was kind of thinking in my head, and I was oh, wow. And I was okay, all right, well, I had this need. And I was okay, I knew that Seth had the ability to help me with this need that I had. It was kind of not necessarily an immediate need, but it was this was it. I was going to need this need to be addressed. So, Seth is talking to a bunch of people. I've been talking with our friends. The music is super loud, super awesome. And, so it's a while into it. We haven't talked yet. And I'm okay, all right, it's time. So kind of, you know, like I'm not saying I'm stumbling, but like, you know, I'm moving with the music and with what the substance is how it's affecting me. And so I'm making my way over to Seth, and he's like, he sees me coming. He's like, all right, what's it gonna be? Where are we gonna go with this? I put my hand on Seth's shoulder and I go, Seth, the most important thing is what we're gonna talk about, Seth, is Seth, can I borrow your chapstick? Can I borrow your chapstick? And you know, and the reason why that was because like I just felt that like we've already made like so much progress. Like I didn't need to go have a deep dive.
Right.
No deep dive was needed because we have a deep dive every single day.
Yes.
Living together.
Yes.
And so I was able to borrow the chapstick. It was exactly what I needed. My need was addressed, and the chapstick was returned. And we did end up having kind of a deep dive, a little bit after that, and that was, you know, that was great. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't anything like life altering, but it was perfect for the moment. Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, wow, that's so good. Okay. This is what happens, gang, is that John just does things and I just laugh. It's great. And so you said, I think, was it that during the deep dive or after that night that you said I think that like that's my true kind of true self, like fully coming through almost?
Yeah.
How would you explain that?
All right, now I'm sensing a deep dive coming. Sensing a deep dive on its way. Mm-hmm. I think it was after. I think it was, you know, yeah, not that night. Interesting substance. Interesting state of being that one can be in there. I have heard it referred to as what can, not that everybody experiences every time, but like some people feel that they can get to like quote unquote God mode, which is like you are in a situation where like nothing can touch you, like nothing that anybody could say can make you feel bad, like nothing can bring you down, like you're in your full confidence, you're in your full power, like you're able to just go and talk to anybody and have a great time, put out your the full fruits of your personality and the best parts of yourself out there to people and let them experience who you are and feel really good about putting that out there. So yeah, I would say that there was definitely felt some of that, and it's an interesting feeling because you kind of have to. Well, I definitely question like, well, what's getting in the way of me being able to do this every day with every interaction in my life? Because just because a substance, you know, quote unquote helps you get there, like there's no reason to think that you can't get there without it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so the deep dive part though, which was interesting with me for the MDMA experience, is like, so that quote unquote God mode, for me, like I used to be able to get that on with using alcohol, like not every single time that I use alcohol, but in certain situations, you know, that would happen for me, where like, yeah, it does for many people, you know, like that's a big reason why people party, you know, and drink alcohol, is they want to really loosen up and just be able to like be their quote unquote like true self, or let themselves just become unbridled or whatever, you know, let themselves go. So yeah, and it was something that's like stopped drinking alcohol like a few years ago now. And so I was kind of like maybe missing that or wondering like, okay, how do I get to that? And then there's a substance that does a similar thing, actually does it better with, not like less of the side effects that go along with alcohol. But still some side effects and things. So, yeah. So, does that answer the question that you were getting at? Close.
Maybe.
Get me back on the tracks.
Yeah. Is there an aspect of yourself that's holding you back from accessing that God mode every day?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yes.
What's that?
I'm not sure. It's issues with, I guess confidence is the umbrella term that you would say for that. Why am I not able to just be the person that I want to be out there in every interaction, and things like that. It's a good question. Maybe I need to, do some self deep dive, or interactive, dives into that. So, yeah, how would you help somebody like me in that situation where I know that this is something that I want to be able to do, and there is something blocking me, and I'm not sure what that block is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Sean. So what have you seen? What have you seen someone that is exuding that confidence?
When have I?
Mm-hmm. What's an example?
Yeah, I would say I have multiple friends that can be like that. That I grew up with. Definitely have met lots of people like that out there in the world, especially like in party situations, I would say. Mm-hmm. But not necessarily party situations. It could be in, work, career, in jobs that I've had, things like that. And yeah, I don't know. I just kind of, you can sense that they have had a breakthrough almost, or that, I don't know, maybe they just naturally like had that ability. And so it's probably, I feel like it's one of those two things. They either naturally had the ability and like nothing got in the way of that, or they were maybe more in the position that I am in, where then they figured out how to overcome it and blast through that.
Mm-hmm. And so have you ever had these kind of people that are like self-confident, really great moments of interacting with them where you're like, wow, that's what it is? Have any of them ever said, and yes, I've struggled with confidence, and I still do? Have you heard that?
Yeah. Yes, I can't think of like specific examples, but what you're saying I think rings true. That yes, I have had. I guess. I'm not sure I really discuss it with too many people, but like I have, like talked about like confidence and that kind of thing, so insecurities and things, and yes, I believe that more than one person that I've talked about has, and probably that I figured was ultra confident, but then that yes, they kind of mentioned that they have insecurities and stuff too.
So would you agree that you might be able to have the feelings, the experience that you're having right now, and then kind of make choices or decisions as though you were confident, and then maybe
yes, and I would say it's like it's a ladder. Yes, I mean I have been doing that for years now, and I am getting a lot better. I am, I would say I just haven't I haven't felt like a moment of really blasting through. And maybe that's okay,
I wonder what that moment would look like for you.
Right.
What would that moment look like? If to guess.
Yeah, I think it would be, it could be a number of things. I feel like it would be, I don't know, it could just be, at a festival or something, having a great time with people and doing something goofy or silly, amongst friends and strangers that like it's just my true self, just coming out very effortlessly, but like with a lot of love and being very like genuine and like hoping that presenting something that I want people to laugh, but not even like if they don't, it's fine, and then it's just like happening very naturally. Just being in a like I say festival situation, like that helps it become the perfect situation because it's really fun and like
right
something like that. So yeah, I think that maybe something like that, and it could like literally just be an interaction with a few people like totally like haphazardly and just like feel like, oh gosh, like it's happened.
Yeah. Wow. What would that look like in the city here in Seattle? What would a day or maybe a 2-hour period of Sean P. Walsh out on the town tearing it up?
Yeah. Well, I'd probably be like on my bicycle.
Okay.
Because I do like the bicycle. Going around, maybe picking up a smoothie from the juice press, or by any number of people that sell smoothies, and just like smiling at everyone, saying hello, and really just kind of having like just a sense of, hey, I'm here to have fun. I know this person on some level is here in this life to have fun. Let's interact in that way together in this moment.
I think that both of these visions, these dreams sound so doable for you. Yeah. So doable.
They do sound really doable. I've been getting better at like smiling at people out there in the world. Like, I smile. I've always smiled at people in the world, but like not every single person and not in every interaction, and maybe not a big smile. And that is something that is an example of something that really like I would want to do more, and that would bring me more confidence for sure, is smiling at people and trying to just like signal that like, hey, like I'm a person like living in this crazy world too, like it's cool that we just passed each other on the bike path or something, like, and like like that can be enough for me, like to really make some progress, I think.
Absolutely. And you want to know something that's really funny is talking about the seeing someone doing confident things and then them telling you like, whoa, I'm still like working on confident stuff. Sean, you're one of those people for me.
Right. And you for me, Seth.
Whoa.
That's a high five up top.
What? Yeah. I mean, that's the realization right there.
I mean, it does really help. And actually, I've been, watching some, people on YouTube and stuff, and that are, talk about charisma and confidence and growth in various ways and stuff. And some of them say that kind of stuff. They say like, hey, I'm here on YouTube, I'm doing my thing. They usually have a lot of subscribers. Like their videos are getting a lot of views, and they say that type of stuff too. And that's like, it is really encouraging. Yeah.
And it's at least looking at the kind of the realms of self-love. It's the shared reality, the shared humanity that we all have, and recognizing that we're all doing this. We're all not perfect, and we're all trying to get better if we are working on that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like that, and also I find that is like putting it in the way that you just put it is really important, and also like it takes a little bit of the magic out of it, and that's okay. Like that's great. Like this is not something that just you snap your fingers and you have like you do this for a little while and then you have this breakthrough moment and then you're Tony Robbins for the rest of your life. Like it's probably not going to be that way. It doesn't need to be that way. It could be that way.
Yeah, let's not take that out of the picture.
And that's one option, and that option is like that's a great option, and taking years and making small progress and doing all this various is another great option, and that's a really they both have their benefits, and for some people they're destined for one or the other, and they're gonna have a great life if they want, if they make that choice.
Yeah. And I think speaking towards the magic, it's almost whenever I see someone doing it, they're in it, they're rocking it, they're being themselves, they're being their true form. It's like the magic that I used to experience felt different, where I was like, how did they do that? That's unattainable. Oh my gosh, I can't. That and what they're doing is so cool. Like, whoa, there's like kind of two things. How the fuck did they do that? And that is really cool. For me, now it's more of, yeah, they're human and they like are going for it, and that's great, and they're trying and they're doing something really cool. So like I swapped out one of my old thought patterns, like forever.
That being that you didn't know how they were doing this.
Yeah, I was like, how the fuck did... Yeah.
Now you have a pretty good idea of how they're doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I would say that my awareness for that has risen and is rising of understanding where people are at with self-love, and with making the choice to, be the captain of the ship of their own life.
Right.
And if you start looking for it, you start raising, allowing your awareness to rise for that, you can definitely start feeling that and seeing that with anybody that you meet.
And I think, at least for myself, and it sounds like for you, not only seeing other people shine, and being inspired by that, that it's also important to find the ways in which you shine, or how I shine my brightest, and then doing that as often as possible with also taking care of yourself, of course. What would you say to that?
So it sounds like you're saying, like, how do you take inspiration from when you see other people doing these things?
More of it's like, yes, and why is it important to shine your light as bright as possible? Yeah.
Okay, that's a really good question, because I suppose the argument could be made that you don't need to do that. And so, yeah, it's kind of like that comes down to like a belief, I think, that we have that is important. Trying to quantify why it is important, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a dive. That might be a good area of examination. Let's see if we can get there. Well, yeah, because I think it's I do kind of think there's this element. It's like you don't have to. Like it's up to you. Will it help enrich your own life? Probably. So that's the reason why I would. It's probably going to help me enrich my own life, and shining my light is going to at least give the opportunity for other people to take some of that and to enrich their own life, take pieces of it and enrich their life. And so yeah, I think kind of what you're getting at there is, it's kind of like you see it, you take the inspiration from someone else, you internalize it, you work something groovy with it, and then you put that out there for other people to be able to pick up if they so choose. So
I love that. So in part of with the shared humanity experience, do you want to share with others some of your negative thought patterns when you're not feeling confident about something? What it sounds like, what it is.
Oh, yeah. I'm not in touch with that, I would say. I do not enjoy sharing my negative thought patterns.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe that's something I should be working on. You gotta tell me, Seth. You're the expert here.
Well, so at least for me, and especially on, if we look at the Love Amp circles that we're doing, when people share of what is happening for them, and then I ask, who else has experienced this? And then people raise their hand. And it's like, whoa, other people experience this? Wow. And wait, this exact thought pattern too? What?
Well, that's why the Love Amped circles are so great and so important, is because, we've heard this saying a couple times just in the last few days, and people are aware of this, but like, look, with your problems, 80% of people don't care, and 20% are glad that you have them. You know, like that's the reality of like when you're just out there operating in the world. I do really think that. Like, I have experienced that with most interactions that I've had with people. I mean, you know, thankfully, there's a couple people in my life that I can tell them stuff and they want to help me with. I'd say my parents are actually really good with that. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
They're great. They're awesome.
And so, but yes, we in most interactions, like, and I'm guilty of this myself. Like, people start telling me the problems and stuff. I mean, it's just like, well, you know, where are you going with this? So, like, having an intentional space like that to share negative thought patterns, then people are there for that specific reason. Like, they want to be hearing what people are experiencing and helping them through it, and helping themselves by discussion of it and stuff. So I would say in that environment, yeah, I'd be more open to. We got one coming up. They're happening, folks.
They're happening.
They're bi-weekly at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're worth checking out.
Thanks for the shout out. Yeah, for reals, gang. They're really cool. They've been a blast to facilitate, and we always have a great topic and a tool that we learn, and sometimes there's some one-on-one action, kind of like this. Now, Sean, imagine this. If it helped people out there, would you share those thought patterns?
Yes. Yes. I will say that I am, making some switches in there so that, these negative thought patterns are kind of diminishing further and further. The positive ones are compounding further and further. Most days of the week for me, and that's just great. Also, I think that there's something to be said for negative thought patterns. We have this word for negative that that it's kind of described, like you say, like, oh, we have a negative connotation towards negativity, but like trying to apply this, just like, oh, there's something wrong with this. This is something that we don't want to feel, something we shouldn't feel. And like, it's one thing to like try to, get negative thinking out, but it's another thing to say, well, it's okay that like I'm having those negative thoughts, and they serve a purpose, and
they're trying to tell you something.
Exactly. They're there for a reason, and so don't hate that you have those, and I think that there's part of their existence is, for me anyway, is to move beyond them, and then a new sets might appear. Will probably, for my whole life, will probably come in. They will serve their purpose. We will work through them, and we will, move beyond them to get to more positive things. So I think that's really important. Is like not letting negative thought patterns, like just that way of thinking about themselves, like is really important to have a healthy relationship with, which. I definitely was not exposed to that growing up, and up until, I would say pretty recently in my life, like that sort of like perspective on negative feelings and emotions. Like, I feel like the kind of the mainstream approaches either just bottle them up and don't think about them, or try to like do this to get rid of them. Leaves out that other perspective.
Yeah. Now, okay, so Sean, I'm sensing, is there, in the realm of confidence, in the realm of being fully who you are, is one of your negative thought patterns that you're not courageous?
Yes, and it is something that I am working on. Yeah. So, yeah. I think that courage is a really interesting one. It's really important for a lot of people to be in touch with, and it's something that is in our nature, we didn't all, live in these comfortable abodes, our whole existence. And so you had to have courage just to, make it to lunchtime back in the olden days.
Yeah.
So it's something that it's really important for most people to be in touch with and have a good relationship with.
And I mean, would you agree that the statement Sean P. Walsh is not courageous is not true?
Yeah, that's definitely not true, Seth.
Whoa, that's great.
Yeah, I love that.
So
nice little trick there, Seth. Tricked me. And it's a great trick.
I got these little tricks up my pelican shirt sleeves. And so, I mean, it seems as though the question that might be beneficial for you in any situation is, what action would I do if I was courageous, in acting in a courageous way?
Yeah.
Like, what if? Just like,
Right.
what if?
Right. Yeah, for me, it's putting myself out there. It's creating these silly characters that for most people that see them, it's a 5-second laugh for them in their day, and they move on with their day, and hopefully it brightens their day a little bit. And for me, it's something that if I don't do it, then I'm not being courageous. So that's my thing,
Yeah.
As kind of silly as it sounds, but for me, I'm making this kind of commitment to the first thing I do in the morning is create a little funny video. And yeah, I know it could sound kind of silly to some people to think that that's courage, but for me, it is, because it's knowing that that's what I want. That's what I want to do. There's something about just making short form funny videos that really works for me. To enliven me, and it just seems like something I'm really in touch with. So not doing it is it makes no sense to not do it, And so but then I have these blockages of why I don't, why I haven't done that consistently in the past. And so the courage is to be real with myself and saying hey, this is you. So are you gonna do you, or are you gonna not do you?
Yeah. We're on that realm of feeling yourself acting in that place, having a relationship with that question. I almost am sensing right now in this moment the one step below that. As we've talked about core wounds before. We haven't identified yours, right? You haven't, have you?
No.
I think your core wound might be that you don't matter.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. I've definitely, it's been a long time since I've explored that, or thought about that, but that was a really big reason why I didn't, kind of take doing creative things seriously, at a certain point in my life when, it probably would have been a really good time to really be doing that. I didn't completely shut myself off from it, but I didn't necessarily believe in myself because I felt like my perspective didn't matter, Yeah.
Wow. That's wild. That's really crazy. I mean, oh man. Woo! Just kind of popped up there. It kind of really was oh. Yeah. Okay.
Well, and that's where we got to give credit to all these crazy folks around us, because you gotta to feel that you matter. I mean, you do kind of gotta have a little bit of a screw loose, because if you're thinking super logically all the time, and that's the way I was, like saying, like I'm just an insignificant speck in the drop of humanity as well as the universe and stuff. It doesn't matter, and also like, just a middle class guy, whatever. Like my opinions and stuff don't really matter. That's definitely not true. Like everybody's opinions and what they're putting out there is just as equal to any speck of stardust anywhere in the universe. I mean, it's just all. You can't measure like what matters more and things like that. And like when it comes to like this is your life, this is your existence. Like you matter. You like I matter.
Mm-hmm. Definitely matter, Sean. Definitely, without a doubt. Like, holy shit. I mean, just like let's also like have a moment to. Okay. Sean has helped me through so many tough situations, so many tough emotional moments in my life, in ways in which they's helped me grow my. I would say part of my kind of what is the? It's part of my warrior mode. Really, I would say is the ability to be even cooler and calmer and confident in situations where I used to not be. Let's also, I mean, this one's just has to be mentioned right off the bat. It's like Sean was one of the main reasons. Like I'm able to say like I am an ovo vegetarian as well. Sean being 100% true to form, true to life vegan and knows more about food and its production and how it's affecting the world than anyone I know. And has inspired me every time that I see Sean doing something creative. I then get this feeling inside of myself like, oh, right, that's like that part of myself that I haven't like touched as much recently, where I know that I used to be in more of a goofy mindset, even maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, and especially maybe when I was in in like middle school, I would say is when I was in it. So it's almost like I'm rediscovering parts of myself because Sean is being himself, and is able to confidently throw down on setting up incredible spaces. I want to shout that out. Incredible spaces, not only for party scenarios or living scenarios, in the ways of presenting others, like lifts other people up, like knows how to shine the light at them and how to present them online, specifically on a marketing standpoint, social media, and of course silly videos, and I just see that how you are beginning, like it's like you're at this stage where you're now breaking through to the community eye, and it's like something that in my judgment is that could have been done many months ago, and it's great because it's happening right now, almost. Mm-hmm. And it's just really great because it's there. Like you're there, you're in there, you matter.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Seth, you might be leaning out of frame. You might just want to come back in a little bit.
Okay, that's okay. If I was out of frame,
perfect.
That's great.
We want to see your face, Seth.
Hi.
This is your audience. They're here to tune in to see what you're up to. So you want to present yourself out there to them, just like in a really groovy, fantastic way.
See, it keeps me on track with these things. Keeps me on track. In self-love, who in your life would you love if they loved themselves more?
Ooh. Like people that I know?
Mm-hmm. It's kind of vulnerable to shout that out, and this is what we got to do.
there's a lot. I think that I'll just say this. I think that there's people in various aspects of my life, but you mentioned community just a minute ago, and I feel that I would love to see that in with some more of our community members. Seth and I are part of a local dance community that also extends beyond dance, but that's kind of for us, like where we're at, and it is kind of the core of it. Really great people, amazing people. Doing amazing things in their lives and coming from all sorts of different backgrounds. Lots of people coming from backgrounds that include a lot of trauma, a lot of life beating them down, and they are really amazing at overcoming a lot of those things. And so seeing that has been really inspirational, getting to know those people, seeing them even in situations where I'm not necessarily getting to know somebody, but like picking up on that. And then in getting to know people and just kind of casually picking up on it and things, but, caring about people in both those ways, is seeing some people I feel that they're real close to having, what we call, like we were saying earlier, like breakthroughs, but they're not quite getting there, and maybe there's some kind of blockage. And so for me, it would be like what can and for me that'd be like, okay, well, what can I do to help with that? And I try, to do stuff like that. So yes, that is an area of my life where there's multiple people, and it's not like I wouldn't say there's anybody like really in particular I'm like really concerned about like in that community, but it's just like I feel like it will help me in my life to just like the cheer of seeing more people in that community just really bring themselves up to that next level. Would be really amazing.
Awesome, man. That sounds great. I know that when the people in my life are loving themselves more, it's just a better time for everyone.
Yeah.
Just is. It's not even that. It's never a thing of that person loves themselves too much. There's too much just I don't know, like they're just like selfishness in the negative sense. I don't usually think about that. Someone might be self-centered in the sense of it goes into the negative aspect where everything is about them. But if people if in my life are generally loving themselves, there's research that shows that people that love themselves have more capacity to love others and be and to compromise in romantic and friendship relationships, and are more giving and have capacity to be empathetic towards others. The research shows these things, Kane. Sean, what is some other things about self-love that you don't think you have talked about yet?
Ooh, I love that question, Seth. But I'm feeling we gotta get a little movement going here.
Okay, yeah.
Because my legs, they like the movement, and just sitting in one position, one seat for so long, it's just like it can't be the optimal thing to do. So
right,
just get a little movement going.
Okay, for those that are listening to the audio-only recording, we are currently spinning and doing little wavy movements around our living room.
And then we jump on the bean bags.
Back in it.
Well, okay, so, are there any other things about self-love that I would like to examine? I want to examine what we were just talking about, the dichotomy between selfishness and self-love, or self-centeredness and self-love, because, where, like, how do you help somebody that maybe is in the selfish category
Ooh,
to come around
how
to
do
the
you
self-love
help someone that-
category. And also, like, do you help them? Like, don't they have to kind of, like, I mean, do they ask first for that help? I mean, I wouldn't personally, like, tell somebody, hey, you're selfish, and it's probably the right time in your life to become, like, selfless and be more, and have more self-love.
Right.
Well, not necessarily. See, that's another question. It's like the selflessness, like, that's an interesting concept, too, because it's like, well, we're talking about self-love, and, like, the example that I know you love, Seth. I don't know if you've ever said it on the podcast, but you probably have.
Let's see it.
You're in the airplane. The masks come down.
Yes.
The
Yes.
cabin is depressurizing.
I love this.
If you want to help the little kids around you, your own kids, or the grandma on the seat next to you, well, you're not going to make it very far if you don't have your own mask on first. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, these are all concepts that I do think are pretty interesting.
Yeah. So in the realm of self-centeredness, people that can be more selfless, I would wonder. My question to them would be, how fulfilled are you?
Okay.
Because at least for me, if I was operating in a life where I was only thinking of myself and didn't create a life that included others, because I was probably I'm leaning out again. Subconsciously pushing people away because of my self-centeredness, or just focusing on myself in a way that's not healthy or negative or perceived as just like I'm not enjoyable to be around. That I'm guessing I might start to feel unfulfilled in life. Maybe I know we watched that Tony Robbins interview yesterday, and this kind of like reminded me of that, in the fact that you could literally have the most money in the world, and you could be made in that way, and if every other aspect of life is not there, and like you're not feeling fulfilled, then you got nothing. So it's until someone that's living that life hits the point that they might want to change things up. That's all there really is, other than someone like you and I. If we interacted with someone like that we would ask, how is your life going? How are your feelings? What brings you a lot of joy right now? And then they would say, I got a lot of money, like, I just made $1 million. I got a lot of money, I just made $1 million. And then
I got a lot of money, I just made $1 million. I got a lot of money, I just made $1 million. A lot of money, made a lot. Well, okay, so, alright, but this is an interesting question, because, like, I don't think I really know anybody in my life that I would be able to, like, definitively say, like, that's a selfish person. Like, I feel like, and I feel like we often in our lives, at least I probably do this, is I think that I have spotted somebody that's selfish. But I don't know the whole story. I don't know everyone in their life. Like, maybe it's the way they're interacting with me, or I see them after, usually interacting with somebody else, and thinking like, oh, that person is just being selfish, and that they're a selfish person. But then, the way they interact with their aunt or their cousin or their next door neighbor could be totally different. And like that they just, where's that kind of all play into this?
It's maybe those that we have a close, that I might have a closer relationship, where I'm noticing that my needs, even if communicated properly, or needs or wants, or in whatever that relationship isn't being filled consistently. And then maybe I would begin to think like, well, does this person if we begin to or I begin to evaluate, oh, does this person actually want to spend time with me or not? Like, are they being upfront about that? Okay, if they do, if I know that, then I could maybe go to them and say, hey, we're friends, we're this, we're that, and we like each other, and I want this, and it seems like you are never open to trying this thing or doing this thing, then it's approaching or addressing that issue right then and there.
Right, and if, as you presume, if they do indeed want to be your friend and spend time with you, then likely they're gonna say, "Oh, okay, well, yeah, what can I do here?"
Mm-hmm. And if they stonewall you or just don't put up, then it's like, okay.
Right, exactly. It's like, okay, well, it's like you want. There's a great episode of Seinfeld that is this exact thing. There's this guy that wants to be Jerry's friend, and he is like super rude to the servers, like the waitresses at the coffee shop. And Jerry's like, how can you talk to people like that, And the guy's like, huh, what? And so Jerry, like, he had to break up with him. He had to do a friend breakup because he just couldn't. The guy was just so selfish. The guy really wanted to be Jerry's friend.
Yeah.
But Jerry was like, I'm not having this anymore. So yeah, that's like, it feels like, it's where the rubber hits the road. Either somebody that wants to be your friend, and you're recognizing something about them, and you put that out there for them. If they either take it or you say, okay, well, I gotta walk away from this. Mm-hmm. And I had never done that with anybody where I've told them that, but it's probably something worth exploring of actually being upfront and honest with them. I mean, I've let the relationship distance and fall apart, and that's probably not the most healthy way. You can get away with it in most cases because people get distracted and then they don't realize, I don't even hang out with that guy anymore. What, did that guy not like me? What was going on there?
Interesting. That's a whole other. That's like an authenticity mixed with boundaries, mixed with all that good stuff.
Well, there's this term ghosting, that's happens. I think it's more used in romantic relationships, and that people are. I think there's kind of a movement to say hey, no more ghosting. Let's all.
I'm all about that.
You're all about ghosting?
Not about about saying no more ghosting.
Yeah.
Even on a gosh. I mean, even on dates where I've been on 2 dates with someone, and I'm like, okay, that was pretty cool time. I might be down to hang out again, or someone on the date has told me they are they're actually moving away, and they're also going through a tough time, and then I've messaged afterward where it's this is probably not gonna continue, but even messaging saying, hey, I'm here for you, if you ever need anything, let me know, and not in the romantic sense, and even then ghosting happens, even sometimes when someone is just saying, hey, I'm a human, let me know if you need anything, even then there's still the possibility of someone being I can't even deal with humans. I can't even treat someone as though they are another human that is just offering something to me. Acknowledgement.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of it, it's kind of a gray area of oh, well, was it ghosting, or was it the people trying to explain, how they couldn't be. Yeah, what is going on here? We got teacups full of water here that are there's just a lot of condensation or.
Yeah, what's going on? Is this cat cup leaking?
But mine must be too then.
What the? That's so weird. I've never seen these cups leak.
I've never seen them leak. They must got a slow leak because we probably drink it quicker.
Wow.
We're just sitting here chatting.
That's insane. I never
doing
knew
the Love
cat cups.
podcast. It takes a while to do that. Normally, you get a little cup of water or tea. You just drink it and it's done.
You slurp it right up.
It's a slow leak on both of those cups.
That's amazing. Well, now we know.
Yeah.
Which Sean, is there any final things that you would like to say? We're coming up on about an hour and a half.
Okay, so that's the perfect time for a Love Amped podcast. That much I know.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there is something that I would like to say. I would like to say that self-love is a journey that takes work and it takes humility, and it is very much worth the journey, and also that the journey is likely never done. You can have these breakthroughs and these blast throughs that really take it to the next level, but it really is true. Like anything in life that is worth doing and that we really require to do to live the lives that we want to live, you don't just do it for a while and get to a point and then you're done. I mean, it is a continual thing that you have to keep reinforcing and keep growing. It's not just you find something that works for you and you do it every day. Like, that'll help you sustain, but that will actually, then your perspective on it will be that you are falling back even if you're doing all those same things. So you got to make a commitment and explore how that commitment is going to work for you to continually grow, and a big part of that is seeking out new perspectives and new paths. So we're actually creating new neural pathways when we do that kind of stuff, and that's what it's all about.
That's amazing. Sean, thanks for being on the frickin' podcast. Love Amp just got that much better. The movement just got that much stronger. And gang, you're going to be seeing more Sean in, I think, videos, in photos. Sean's also helping doing the marketing of Love Amped. Like, the genius behind the smoke, and maybe there's like one mirror. There's like a few mirrors maybe.
Yeah, that's part of the fun, is the smoke and mirrors. It's taking what somebody is doing and then just, helping it to become, helping to create a story around it that is bigger than what that person or that thing is, so that it can reach more people, touch more lives, and grow just like every other aspect of our life that we want to help to continue to grow. Mm-hmm.
I love that. And I think it's fun, as you just mentioned, there's the journey is never over, and I never know what's going to be the next thing that pops up. I think I'm going to start sharing at the end of the episode, little things that I'm still working on that are that come up that I didn't know were there before. Just to if anyone identifies with this, maybe as you hear mine, think of a little something that you're. So what I'll sign off on is I have come to the realization recently that I am afraid or not confident, or for some reason feel so silly of saying pet names in romantic relationships and some friendships too. And I recently talked about this with Becca, and it was so funny that this is a thing that I experience. And for a while once it started coming up in my head, I was oh, am I not good at this? Am I not, all that good stuff.
Give us a quick example of one of these pet names.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's certain pet names. So I've been able to say Bink. I can say Bink, no problem. Or Binka Buns. I can say that. I can say it. I don't always get the that what is the endearment kind of tone in my voice that I want? That's what it is. It's I don't get the tone in my voice that I'm looking for. So I came up with snuggle buns recently. I think that's really fun. And so, or sweetness. That's one. And so we practiced saying, like, if I'm like, okay, it's just like, okay, so Seth, imagine if like it's like improv and you're saying it in like a character, and then I like was able to like start like saying it, and then I was like, okay, now if it's just you, like if you said it, okay, and I say it. And it's kind of working through that. It's funny because that was a thing for myself that I was like, I'm having a hard time loving this part of myself, dang it. And then it just expanded into me having a conversation with my dad last night about me being like, and even Becca was like, well, how did your parents talk about this? And then I was like, whoa, hold up. I don't remember my parents saying pet names to each other, so I didn't have much of a model. I only had times of saying pet names in potentially a nagging scenario or situation. It's like where someone's like doing something, like my family, like my mom, my dad, and I are in a situation where my dad's doing something silly or ridiculous or embarrassing for like the family, like in front of like other people, and my mom's just like, honey, so I didn't have much of a model. Anyways, that's my recent example of what I'm working on right now.
Okay, well, I say for me, for using the pet names, like I really gotta feel it. I gotta feel it down in my loins, Seth. Like that's where it's gotta resonate down there. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I feel like it's gonna get a little confusing for me on why I'm doing that, what it's meaning to me. With a romantic partner, mm-hmm. like you gotta really feel it, like in your sexual nature as part of why you're doing that. Otherwise, it becomes kind of this sort of strange, kind of undefinable, not in a good way, undefinable.
Wow.
So yeah, if it's a sexual romantic partner, feel it in the loins.
Okay.
And whatever the pet name is, if any schnookums or whatever, like feel that in your manly loins, and that should set you straight on why you enjoy and why you use pet names and what it means to you.
Okay, thanks. Because no one has said that to me so far.
It's a little bit crazy sounding. It's a little kooky sounding, but like try it.
Yeah.
And then
feel it.
Like you're with somebody. You're using those names. What are you using those names for? To have a better mental relationship with them. To have a better spiritual relationship with them. If so, then work those into it too. Feel it in your spirit when you say that. Feel it in your mind, but don't forget the manly loins. The really important aspect of the interactions that we have with sexual romantic partners.
Yeah. Wow. Damn. Thanks.
Yeah. Give it a shot. Let me know, or it's up to you. You can say that's a little too kooky for me. That doesn't sound right.
All I know is that I just saw what a confident person does in front of me. Matters. Huh?
Yeah.
I'm just seeing Sean P. Walsh. Sean, thanks for being on the cast.
Yeah.
Should we?
Yeah. Well, all I want to say to sign off is go out there, have yourselves a killer day,
and keep kicking butt. Love yourselves out there.